SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
When banking starts to feel less personal, you know where to find us. Community Bank. Deep roots, local people, personal banking. Visit communitybank.net. Member FDIC.
On the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good Friday morning and welcome to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County, 93.5. Glad to be with you. Joining us this morning will be the head coach of the Southeastern Louisiana Lady Lions softball team, the Division of Southland Conference regular season champion Lady Lions, Rick Freeman, and the voice of the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, Coach John Cox, will be with us. Talk about Golden Eagles sports, see what's happening over in Hattiesburg and going on. With me this morning, across the way, let's see, who we got? The old farts are here today.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the old fart number one to my left, TP, Mr. Richard Talladega Hayes. How are you, sir?
Just fine, Robbie. Glad to be back.
We'll talk about your trip in a second.
All right.
Mr. Randall, glad to see you back in 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, but
Man.
don't get too happy.
When I see you 2 weeks in a row, I know not to get happy the next week. There's certain things you just understand.
No commentary needed on that.
No. Yeah, you guarantee it. Summer's coming next week.
What's the thing? The little thing? If you know, you know.
Yeah, the summer's is coming next week.
That's
You know that. No doubt about it. All right, let's go to work. Don't forget, you can listen to Chasing Foul Balls on the net. Just go to SuperTalk Pike County. Click on Listen Live up in the upper right-hand corner. And also, you can listen to any of the former editions of Chasing Foul Balls on our podcast. You go to Amazon or take a look at Spotify, and you can get it there on the internet right there. And hope you'll join us and go back and take a listen there. And Chasing Foul Balls are brought to you by First Bank here in Macomb. Let's go to work, guys. First things first, Richard. You made the trip to Talladega. Was that your first race to go to?
That was my first ever NASCAR race, Robbie, and I could tell everybody, my uncle introduced me to it when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. Watched it on my grandmother's first color TV that I'd ever seen back in I guess I was at 9 or 10. That was in the late 60s, early 70s. And been a fan ever since. Love it. Of course, as you know, my son Justin moved to Hickory, North Carolina, Lenore Ryan, and he met some people over there that were NASCAR people, and one of them is Mr. Tommy Cross. He's the general manager of the only Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet dealership in the country in Hickory, and he got us all set up. Man, it was great, and met one of Justin's good buddies, Mr. Boyce Lindenberger. He drives for NASCAR, does the big hauler. And,
he drives a car, not drives in NASCAR, but for NASCAR.
He drives the truck that hauls all the electronics and stuff across the way. And so we got to visit with him for lunch. And that was a trip just listening to him and Justin go back and forth. But because I said something about being at lunchtime, and boy, he looked at me and he said, "You hadn't fed him yet?" He said, "Lord have mercy, he looked at me and said, I'm going to have to feed you again."
I was fixing to say, would Justin have any other kind of meeting except a lunch meeting now?
Well, we fed him for a lot of years.
But oh yeah, and look, the thing is there ain't a 5-star restaurant that puts on a better feed than NASCAR. You couldn't imagine if you thought it was there to eat. And then when we got around to the garage and the pits, one of his former football players at Lenore Ryan was the gas man for the number 34 car, loves 34. So we got to visit with Zeke Nance. And tell you what, guys, it's everything they always say it is, but TV doesn't do it justice. You got to see it up close. And I was thrilled and had a great time. And the weather turned out great. Didn't look like it was going to, but turned out great.
Turn left, turn left, turn left.
Yeah, because if you turn right, that's not good.
No.
Ask Bubba Wallace.
I had a Greyhound I'd bet on one time take a right.
I don't want to know the rest of that story.
Did you win any money?
Not that day.
Turn right. Whoa, Lord, how much? What a day we go have today. Number 2, guys, Saints draft choices. The draft's over with. What do y'all give it to grade for the Saints overall? Mr. Randall, we'll start with you.
Oh, gracious sakes alive! I give him a B. I don't know enough about it to really say much more than that. The number 1 guy they picked, lots of talent, but appears to be I don't know. Looks like he could get hurt pretty quickly. Reminds me a lot of Olave.
Mr. Hey, an overall grade?
Yeah, it's in the B range, Robbie. I said, maybe I was going to probably say a B minus because of some of the down picks. They know way more about it, and like Neil said, than we do. I figured they would go with a offensive weapon that first pick in some way, shape, or form. I think the talk was they wanted Jeremiah Love, but he wasn't going to be there when they got to 8, and he wasn't. So with the way Shuck performed at the end of the season, you got to get him somebody to take the top off the defense, as we like to say. But as Neil says, the young man's great talent, but
seems to be a little fragile.
He hasn't had a complete healthy season at Arizona State, and it's going. It's the NFL, so it ain't gonna get any easier. So if that pans out, maybe that raises it up to maybe a B plus or so. But I'd say a B minus right now.
And like you say, we really don't know enough about the other picks,
right?
And hopefully they know more about it than we do.
Look, Neil, they didn't have to be very much more to know more than me and you know about
That's
it.
right, babe.
3 wide receivers chosen by the Saints in the draft. First time since 1989 that the Saints have actually drafted 3 wide receivers in one draft. They had 5 offensive, 3 defensive players in their 8 picks. Y'all talked about it. The grade for the number 1 choice, Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State. He ended up with most people rating him a C, which is the worst grade of the top 3 draft choices they got. So, y'all mentioned it earlier. There seems to be the feeling that he will be, with Olave, one of the better pair of wide receivers if he can stay healthy.
Stay on the field, exactly. And neither one of those guys are what you would call a big receiver that's going to go over the middle a whole lot. They've had some receivers like that over the years.
I'm excited about the tight end that they drafted. I think in the 3rd round or somewhere right there.
Delp, yeah.
Because he didn't get a lot of passes thrown at him in college, but he's one of those big physical guys, Neil, that can that can maybe do some of that short range middle, and that helps the deep guys going. It's a possibility.
For years we watched the Saints with Eric Martin being their number 1 receiver, and he was an over the middle kind of guy.
Any sleepers? Tight end, you mentioned any sleepers in the draft you feel like that the Saints may will rely on this season?
There again, I don't know enough about the other guys that they got, even though I knew they would. I figured they'd go more. I was surprised they didn't pick a few more guys from the defensive line.
Yeah.
But there again, they knew more about what they were.
And there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before the first game. A lot of personnel will move around.
They picked up the edge rusher Tyree Wilson from Las Vegas in a trade right at the end of the draft. So I think they count on him being the edge rusher that they didn't get. Let's move on. NCAA moving to 76 teams in both the men's and the women's basketball tournament. Whew, here we go, guys. What do y'all think?
Everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah. Just like travel baseball.
At some point in time, they're just going to start the tournament at the beginning of the season, and they're just going to play. Yeah. And it's just, now what's going, number 77 or 78 is going to start fussing that they needed to be in.
Oh, there's no question.
It's all driven by one thing, and we know what that is because everybody wants a piece of the pie. And but when I heard it, I was just shaking my head. But we always say it. We know what talks and we know what walks. So
65 to 68 in 2011 with these play-in games. Now we don't go from 68 to 76. 52 teams will be slotted to start with. The rest, the 24, will have the 12 slots on Tuesday and Wednesday, basically play-in games multiplied by 3 or 4. The 12 games will have 2 sites. Dayton will be one of them. They haven't released the date of the site of the other one. There'll be 6 games each day, 6 games total at each site. So that'll be 12 games they'll play to get the then group of whatever would be 68, 62, whatever. I can't add all this up.
And I think too is, you know, boy, if you're now a college basketball coach, if you think the pressure was there, now it's ratcheted up even more, because you can't say, well, I had a good year, but I didn't quite make the tournament, because now everybody's going to look at it. If you're a decent team, you should be in the tournament.
And the thing about it is, we're old enough, I don't know about you, Richard, but when we can remember.
Catching up with you fast, brother.
Well, I hope you don't. But anyway, we can remember when, in order to get in the tournament, you had to win your conference.
No more than.
No, that's long ago.
Let's see. They say that you wonder if moving it to 76 will have a significant demise of the regular season, and will it deteriorate the quality of the tournament?
Oh, I think it's already done that.
Well, it will until it gets down to the Sweet 16 or somewhere in that level. But the only people that are happy about this are the people out there in Las Vegas and all the casinos, because they're just going to be more betting.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, it's obvious the one reason they go to the next level of teams, it's not the regular season or the quality of play. It's one thing, as Reach would say, look at the money. They don't get more revenue from it. They bring in some new sponsors. Beer and alcohol were not allowed to participate in the NCAA basketball tournament, but now they will be as far as sponsorships. That's a whole big jar of money that the NCAA is going to jump into.
Yeah, and once again, it's driven by the almighty dollar. And as sports fans and people that consume that type of entertainment, heck, I'll probably tune into some, but those lower level ones, until they get probably down to about 32, I'm probably not paying much attention other than just seeing who the score is and worrying about it in what my Bulldogs might be doing, hopefully, if they're in.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
You said that was kind of hopeful.
Yeah, that's right.
Like maybe, could be, might be. Thoughts on the Governor's Cup? Mississippi State beats Ole Miss, but boy, a lot of talk about the place it was played in Trustmark Park. What's your thoughts on the Governor's Cup there, Richard? You follow college baseball pretty close.
Well, guys, ever since I heard the announcement the Braves were leaving, I saw this going to play out. I said, because nobody's going to be there to take care of it. Pearl has no reason to now, because they're not making any money off of it, and it costs probably thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain it. But you're putting athletes out there in jeopardy of, you look what happened to, I think it was Furness. I mean, he could have tore up his shoulder because the turf isn't any good or wasn't secured right or whichever. So I love the Governor's Cup game. I think it draws a lot of attention. But if we can't play it on a safe place, I think it's as I say in a lot of other things, it's probably run its course.
All right, let's go to there. Should it be continued at Trustmark Park next year, or should it not be played, or should it be played at a different location?
It will not. I wouldn't play it at Trustmark Park if the conditions are not way better. If they can't bring the conditions and the standards up to what they play on to some extent in conference or somewhere thereabout, I wouldn't play it. I would like to see it continued. Now, how that happens, I don't know.
Well, the question would be, where would you play it? And of course, the other place that comes to my mind would be what is now Keesler Federal, formerly
right.
Shuckers.
But that's too far for both of those teams to travel to go play a one-game midweek game.
Well, I won't argue that, but we're talking about a quality.
That's the only thing left, except playing home and home.
Home and home. That's
the deal would be where whoever hosts the SEC series that year, the other school would host the Governor's Cup, and you could play it that way. You would have bigger crowds, you would have better TV, you would have more money probably in play But do they want to do that? Is, because the deal was, well, we wanted to go to Jackson to play because people in Jackson get to see. You could see Mississippi State and Ole Miss every weekend or every week if you'll just go and hunt it all up. So it's not a question, well, we can't see unless they come to Jackson anymore.
I think it just boils down to the fact if we sit here and just kind of marked our paper and decided the pros and cons, we'd have a lot more cons about playing it than we'd have pros.
We'll wait and see what they decide. We'll come back. Coach Rick Freeman with Southeastern Louisiana talking about the Lady Lions softball coming up next on Chasing Foul Ball. SuperTalk Pike County, glad to be with you. The guerrillas are attacking us again. I tell you, Coach Rick Freeman, we continue to just have problems getting this worked out, but we're working on that now. We're texting if we can get another number that we could possibly talk to him and see what's going on there. Let's go back to what we got to talk about as far as what's happening in the world of sports here in this area. We talked about as far as the Saints draft and the NCAA moving to 76 teams, thoughts on the Governor's Cup. High school baseball is moving on. Of course, guys, we know that one of the best way to get rain is to schedule baseball or softball or tournaments or both. And we have both scheduled now, and what is it? With rain and maybe through the weekend. So here we go. Baseball, having to work around the rain.
Well, Robbie, one of the driest springs I can remember, March and April, and when I saw the rain forecast and at the time of the year it was, I thought about your statement I heard many, many, many years ago about one way to break a drought is to break out a ball tournament.
That's it. We try. Baseball, I may miss a team or two, so don't hold me to this, but I find that the high schools left in baseball playing in the tournament, Columbia Academy, ASC, Park Lane, Brookhaven Academy, and the public schools, West Marion and Boca Chica are still left. On the softball side, the only team I could find still left was Lloyd Star. They still left in the tournament, so we'll keep our eyes on those as they advance in the high school baseball and softball tournament. Also, Richard, it's Super Bulldog weekend. Boy, what a big crowd. 45,382 attended for baseball and softball for the Super Bulldog weekend. What a group of folks to watch state athletics.
Well, we had almost a perfect storm, if you will, because we had one of our biggest rivals in baseball, LSU, in town. Beautiful weather. And the largest wiener dog race in the world.
Oh, yeah.
In downtown Starkville. So
that's what I want to go to. I want to go to the wiener dog race.
I think that'd be very appropriate for us.
They're going to have to go to the football stadium or something because they have to carve out enough space for them little wiener dogs to run, and much less all the thousands of people that want to watch them run. And but yeah, it was a great weekend for Mississippi State athletics.
Neil, what do you think about as far as Rod Barnes? We talked about it over the phone this week. Itawamba Community College makes the announcement that Rod Barnes, former Ole Miss head coach, will now become the coach of Itawamba Community College men's basketball team.
When I first saw that, I was a little surprised. I think I called you and expressed that, but I'm not sure how old Rod Barnes is, but I remember you and I went out to West Lincoln 100 years ago when he was a senior, watched him play one of Jack Casey's teams, and he was a sight then. But I think what happens, he's been very successful at the highest level. I think his last stop after Ole Miss was Cal State Bakersfield. But I really believe these guys just get it in their blood, and they really don't have much choice. That is who they are. That is what they do, and I suspect Itawamba will give him what he needs to be successful.
Vision, I think it's how it's pronounced. Miller, former Southwest player, football player, went to Auburn. Now going to the Cleveland Browns. Good to see Southwest football players continuing to move through the system.
He was a big lineman, was he not?
Right. Offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman, yeah. Congratulations.
Balin Watkins has become the ASC new head football coach. He was an assistant at Central Private and had been at Oak Forest. The head coach at ASC headed to Oak Forest, and one of the assistant coaches headed back to Brookhaven Academy, so some changes there on the ASC side. A.R. Sharp, we had talked about earlier, playing at Belhaven. She was named the CCS Rookie Pitcher of the Year. Remember, Coach Griffin said to us that he thought A.R. Sharp may be the best softball pitcher he ever had at Belhaven before her time came to leave.
Well, it's amazing what they do when they step up in level. You be in high school and then you come to college, and that was very, very high praise for somebody that's seen a lot of good ones. So.
Well, Belhaven's having a great year, and Sharp is a big part of that. Well,
and several others. I mean, they hit the ball so well, and trying to get connected with Southeastern softball coach Freeman, and hear his comments about the fact that the level of college softball. Watching some last night, it's amazing. I watched my granddaughter's team play. It's a fascinating sport, but it cannot conquer the rain.
No. Grain is in charge.
It's exactly right.
The Pat Bridges has been named the new basketball coach at Old Brook, the head men's basketball coach. And then you were surprised, Richard, that Colby Stringer, the pitcher from West Marion, selects LSU as his next home?
Well, I guess a little bit, Robbie, but when you're at that level, I mean, if you go walk in there and say, hey, we won, not take this year out of the picture, we won 2 of the last 3 national championships, and we're right down the road, and so it was a tough recruiting battle, I'm sure, but not totally surprised.
Well, were the state schools involved, or
sure.
Was it LSU all the way?
I don't know that. I haven't heard from that standpoint, but I know the state schools were involved.
You would think they all recruiting,
yeah.
But he chose LSU this week, which I'm a little bit surprised with, to be honest with. I thought maybe he would head to one of the state schools, but no luck there at all.
Yeah.
Also, the idea that Liv Goff may be leaving. The Saudis have decided they have put enough money into Liv Goff that they're going to pull out of it. And Liv Goff said they'll regroup and try again, but without the Saudi money, it's not much luck for the Liv Goff people to hang in it, would you say?
Yeah, they threw the bunch of money out there, and a bunch of the pros jumped over there, but it just never gained any. It never got any traction. You couldn't find it on TV. You had to hunt for it. They were playing all over the world, and nobody was watching. So,
well, when that first happened, what didn't the PGA ban those guys, did that stand up?
They had some rules. I'm not sure exactly what they were. That if you played live golf, you could maybe participate in the majors. So several of them did that. But then others wanted to come back. So then they had to, okay, now what do we do? Well, you're going to be on like probation for a while before you come back full. So
yeah,
and that was the first inkling, Neil, that there was a chink in the armor, and the money was going to dry up. And well, as we say, we know what happens there.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We got a big question to ask. We'll do that right after this timeout, chasing foul balls right here on Super Talk Pike County. morning on SuperTalk Pike County. Well, guys, I sent you a question to think about. The question was, considering we're older people.
Older but not elderly.
Well, I don't know. I'm feeling both today, to say the least. Older, elderly, and just about done. What older person thing do you do I'm going to put this. What older person thing do you do or say that's just like your parents?
Oh, I come up with all sorts of things. Lord have mercy. You better, oh Lord. I'm trying to think of some of the sayings that I used to get.
Show's only an hour now.
Well, I'm sorry. Daddy used to say something, you better cover up on the front end so you don't hang out on the back end later. You ever heard that one, Richard?
Yeah. Mine was, it looks like you're getting ready to overload certain part of your body that you don't need to.
Yeah.
So don't let your mouth get that way, because your mouth can overload it real quick, and then you're in big trouble.
For sure. Also, one of the examples of the person that was bringing this up was the fact that you see those kids on the street. Why ain't them kids in school?
Yeah.
I've heard that one several times. That's for sure.
They'd be in trouble today, wouldn't it? I don't think any of them go to school much anymore. I was
saying, nobody know they wasn't there. That's the problem with that.
Look, I didn't want to have to worry about why I wasn't going to school, because if I was really in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, if we wasn't in school, not only would the school know it, the neighbors would know it, which would mean your parents would know it, which would mean your behind would know it.
Amen.
Hey, Robbie, did you ever cut a class? You ever skip school?
Yeah, I went to Mardi Gras.
That was, you were a little older then, though.
High school.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
Very seldom. I was afraid I'd miss something.
Well, it's kind of like, I went to a Catholic school all the way through high school, so if I wasn't in school and there wasn't an excuse about why I wasn't there, they called my mother at work.
Yeah.
Where's Richard at? Because he's not here today. Well, he's sick or he's this. Because I never want her to say, I don't know. Because that would have been
because then you would know when you got home.
Well, it would start at school when I got back, and then it would proceed to being at home. So, I made it a point to be in class.
Children just don't know how lucky they are, do
they just don't know.
Looking for a bank that feels like home? First Bank is here for you. 14 locations across southern Mississippi. We're your local bank for checking, savings, loans, and more. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or you just need everyday banking made easy, First Bank. We're ready to help. Stop by your nearest branch or visit firstbankmississippi.com. First Bank, where customers and community matter most. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Joining us on the phone, the voice of the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss, John Cox. How are you, John?
Good. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you here.
All right, he'll make some adjustments on this end. The first question, of course, is what's John Cox on doing a Friday night without baseball to do?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I'm not real sure. I'll find something, or my family will find something for me to do. But it is strange to either not be on the road or be at a ball game on a Friday night. Usually, no matter what sport it is, I'm either staying in a hotel room on the road somewhere or I'm at the ballpark. So, but I'll find something to do. Probably just prepare for the game coming up tomorrow. So that's probably what I'll do.
So you'll be lucky enough to get a doubleheader tomorrow. How is doing a college doubleheader on radio? That has to be a long day.
Yeah, well, I kind of like that. It takes a little preparation, but so you got to be ready for number two after the game number one is over with. But it'll be a lot of fun. Doubleheaders are, I've done doubleheaders where they've been 8 hours long. So sometimes it gets a little grueling, but it's not too bad.
ULM's in town, scheduled for single games Friday, Saturday, Sunday because of the weather we talked about. If you want to get rain, just schedule some baseball tournaments. It'll rain now, a doubleheader tomorrow and one on Sunday. John, you got, after this, 3 left. Two left. James Madison on the road and Georgia Southern back at home. The baseball season's starting to wind down in a hurry.
It's amazing how fast. It's amazing how fast it goes. You're in February and you think, man, this is starting early, and next thing you know, it's going to be the end of May, and you're in the conference tournament or hopefully in the postseason tournament. But it's kind of good. The hardest part sometimes is just when you have those conflicts, when you have a baseball game the same day as a baseball game and things like that. But hey, I'm doing what I've always wanted to do, so it's a lot more fun than people think sometimes.
Southern Miss RPI of 8 overall ranking, in somewhere in the close to the top 10. Do you think Southern Miss already has enough done to host a regional, or do they have more work to do?
Well, I would think if the regional was coming up next week, I think you'd be in pretty good shape. But it doesn't take much to change that. But I think you would like to think that the body of the work that Southern Miss has put in, based on who they played and where they played them and who you've beaten and, how you're doing in the conference standings and how you're doing in the RPI and all that, you think, and plus what you've done in the past, kind of the tradition and, your past history, I think you should get you right there in the mix of things. At the least, you're in that consideration, and there was a time that, Southern Miss wasn't in that conversation. Now they're in that conversation just about every time about whether or not to host or whether or not to be in the tournament. So that's kind of nice to know that they're looking at you and they're considering you, and that if you do things the right way, you got a chance to host one.
John, this is Richard Hay. I guess the question I have for you is, with all the preseason hype and the start they got off to, is this about where you thought Southern Miss would be at this point? Or did you expect a little more, or was you surprised by some of the players that have stepped up or not? And if so, who would those be?
Well, as far as surprise, no, I think you based on who you have coming back, and based on what the schedule looks like, and based on how many games you have at home, I think we're probably wins and losses right about where you'd want to be. Obviously, you'd want to have a few more wins, but there's some good baseball teams out there, particularly in the Sun Belt Conference. And I think has added some guys. Kyle Morrison's one guy. He was a transfer from South Alabama, who's our second baseman now, and he's been a really good player. Then you've got a couple other guys that came out of the transfer portal, but a lot of guys are guys that were here last year, or young guys who got better and better and kind of improved as their careers have gone along. Pitching, of course, is the big thing. You got a guy like Braden Harris, who was a rookie last year on the team, that pitched really well, and he's gotten better. He's now the Friday night guy. He's playing really well. Camden Clark is a JUCO guy who's come in that's pitched really, really well. And, then you're back again on the other side of the ball. You've got guys that have got a lot of baseball at Southern Miss in their on their resume. Matt Russo over at, is at first base. You got Davis Gillespie out in left field. You got Joey Irvin back in center field. You got Ben Higdon in right field. So there's a lot of really good baseball players. There's a lot of good players that have a lot of experience and have learned a lot over the years. So it doesn't surprise me. When you have that much talent, that much experience, you look forward to having a good season like the Eagles are having this year.
John, this is Neil Randall. Just noticed recently that the Sun Belt Conference is bringing Louisiana Tech into the fold. How do the Southern Miss people feel about that?
I think that's good. I think that's a popular decision. One, it gives you another game if it's on the road that's a lot closer, than some other places. But we've had a great rivalry with Louisiana Tech over the years. We've had some great battles with them over the years. Lane Burrows, their head coach, was here for a long time as an assistant coach. So I think I've not run into anybody who thinks that's a bad decision. It gives you one more, like I said, for them to be closer to Ruston, and for the Golden Eagles a lot closer to Hattiesburg. So I think that's been best I can tell, that's been a popular decision.
John, this is Richard Hay once again. With watching the games on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, how is the dynamics of the fact that you've got, when they move Kobe Allen back to the bullpen, especially the first game is always the big game, and maybe you get off to a rough start. I can't remember if it was a week or two ago. Got off to a first start and brought Kobe Allen in probably, I think it was the middle of the fourth, and he pitched almost the rest of the game, and you locked up that first win. How is that more of a situation where that's where Kobe wanted to be, coaches wanted him to be, or would it be better if he was starting?
I'd say a little bit of both. I think, he wanted to be a starter. I think they gave him a chance to do that. But, he's also one of the premier closers, relief guys in the country. There's no question about that. Not just Mississippi, not just the South, around the country. And he's proven that. It's awfully tough when he goes out there to pitch somebody and you've got a lead that he is going to find a way to get you that win. So, I think he's a versatile guy. He's one of those guys that will do anything that he thinks the team needs him to do. I think early in the year they wanted him to be a starter. He wanted to be a starter, and that worked out okay. But I think now, as you're down this final stretch, they need a guy like that to come out of the bullpen, and he's proven once again he's one of the best in the country at that.
John, this is Neil again. Switching gears just a little bit. Lost the head football coach last year. Got longtime assistant Blake Anderson in, very popular choice. But I understand there were like 35 seniors on the Golden Eagle football team last year, and tons of others left and went to Memphis. How are things shaping up on the Southern Miss football roster? I know lots of transfers in and out. What's the latest?
Really, really good. I think if you came and watched them practice, you would walk away saying, man, that's going to be a good football team. Now, my understanding, and don't quote me on the numbers, I think we brought in like 67 new ones or something like that. Wow. There's a bunch of them. There are a bunch of them because you're right. Some left to go other places. Some graduated. Some went to Memphis. But I think there's something like 67 new ones. That's pretty close to the number, and I think they like what they've seen out of those guys. I think they brought in a lot of guys that could take over for some of those spots that they may have lost guys in. I'll tell you what else is really good. A lot of the coaching staff, not all, but a lot of the coaching staff from a year ago is still here. And then you bring in a few other guys, a couple of guys that have been here before, a couple of guys that have been with Blake either at Arkansas State or elsewhere, wherever he's been. So I like the makeup. You never know until they really get the pads on and start banging around a little bit out there. But I kind of like what I'm seeing. I got a lot of guys that immediately have kind of bought into Coach Anderson's way of doing things, and they look like they're having fun out there, and a lot of talented guys. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, it's going to be a mixture like anybody anymore. It's going to be a mixture of guys who are coming out of the transfer portal, but also a bunch of guys that are first-year guys, and then a lot of guys who were here before. So it's always going to be an interesting dynamic from this point on.
Speaking of other sports, John, the women's softball, the Lady Eagles, one of the best years they've had in a while. Coach Natalie Poole, 33-21 on the season, 14-8 in the Sun Belt. You got a couple of players from our area, and Izzy Coker from Park Lane and Emma Day from Oak Forest. Has to be a little excitement on the campus with softball also playing as well as they are.
Yeah, I think everybody knew last year when Natalie came in that she had a plan, and her plan was to like a lot of our coaches done over the years, is draw that circle, whatever 90 miles around Hattiesburg or so, and go find the best players you can find in that circle. And she already had a line, I think, on some great players that have come in out of the transfer portal, and then. The fact that Natalie's just a really good coach. She really knows the game of softball. She knows how to motivate her team. She knows how to teach them the right way to play. And so I haven't had a chance to watch them play much, but they are really good. And, they're playing their best softball right now here towards the end of the season. So I would be surprised if once they got to the conference tournament here in a short time that they're not going to be right in the thick of things. They'll be right in the thick of things trying to maybe win this tournament championship.
What does John Cox think about the NCAA moving it to 76 teams for the basketball tournament?
I couldn't hear you. Say that one more time.
So what does John Cox think about the fact that the NCAA is moving the NCAA basketball tournament to 76 teams?
I've got kind of mixed emotions. I think probably for those teams who have kind of lived on the bubble for a long, long time, it's probably good. And, I don't know that it's going to change the way things are going to be towards the end of the tournament. You're going to have the same teams, but there's going to be some teams that are going to slip in there and they're going to, kind of do what they don't think people think they can do. And, so that'll be the fun part of it, I think, is when you get some of those, number 74, whatever the number would be, all of a sudden one or two of those teams that are in there really for the first time are going to have a chance maybe to make something happen. So I think there's pluses and minuses about it, but it'll be a lot of fun to see how some of those other teams that haven't been able to get in there before are able to kind of compete against the ones that have been there for a long time.
John, this is Richard Hay once again. Where we sit right now with baseball, winding the season down and looking forward to the tournament. Eagles sit there, I think, in the top 10 with the RPI. Do you see any path, possibly? I know they're going to be, I think they'll be a regional host, no doubt. Do you think there's a chance they could maybe, with real strong finish and maybe a good run in the tournament, possibly winning it, that they could get to the national seed, to a national seed?
Oh, I think the sky's the limit for our Golden Eagle baseball team. As we've kind of talked about before, a lot of veteran players, a lot of newcomers that have come in and made big contributions. But we've seen the Eagles play so much and so well these last few years that I think, no doubt, they'll be one of those teams that people can perhaps predict are going to, maybe go far into the tournament. Especially if you can, if you can get to a regional at your place and maybe a super regional at your place, then that opens the door even wider. So, I think there's a lot of excitement about the possibility of this Golden Eagle baseball team and what they'll be able to do. But if my coaching hat, they'll say, well, we're not going to think about that. We want to worry about the regular season and then the conference tournament. But I think the Eagles, if they play up to their potential, have a chance to do a lot of good things here before the season's over.
John, this is Neil again. We've talked softball, baseball, football. What about the men's and women's basketball? They both had pretty good years this last year. Are they involved in the transfer portal like the other sports?
Oh, no question. That's kind of every year, I'm afraid now in basketball, not just in Southern Miss, but everywhere, you're going to have a roster that's going to be shaken up. People that play a lot are going to want to stay. Ones that don't get a chance to play a lot are going to try to find a place to go where they can have a chance to play. But, I think, and it all starts with the two coaches. I think Jay does a great job, and he's going about it the right way, trying to build it the right way. Missy Bilderbach's doing an incredible job as well. So that's where it starts. You got two coaches that a lot of players want to play for, Jay Ladner and Missy Bilderbach. They like because of their coaching ability, also their style of play, the way they want their teams to play. So, I think there's no question that one of the Golden Eagles and the Lady Eagles can both have the opportunity to play basketball and play it at a high level next year.
John, what about the trouble at Trustmark Park for the Governor's Cup with the field and all? Do you see a situation where Southern Miss games against Ole Miss and State may be moved to different places?
I don't know. I don't know that I know enough about that to talk intelligently about it. But I think we got the state of Mississippi's got a lot of great teams, both men and women that probably don't get the all the attraction, all the accolades that they deserve. So anything that's good for the state of Mississippi, I'm all for. So we'll just have to see how that works out.
Explain the Sun Belt Conference schedule as far as how is it set, because without Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss, two of the best teams in the conference, playing each other every year, it kind of leaves a void there, don't it?
Well, it does to me. It does to me. But, I'd love to see. I wish there was a way you could do it where you played everybody during the course of the season. But I guess the numbers now don't make that possible. So I'm not sure exactly what the criteria is or how they put that all together. But I don't like the fact that sometimes you go a couple of years without playing somebody who you've developed sort of a rivalry against. So yeah. But if I had a vote, I'd love to see everybody play each other. But how, from a technical standpoint and a numeric standpoint, how you make that happen, I don't know. But I'm all in favor of everybody playing each other as many times they can.
Joey Urban named the male newcomer of the year to the Sun Belt Conference, another feather in the cap for Southern Miss.
Yeah, no question. No question. We've had some great athletes over the years, a lot of great ones that they're recruiting and bringing in here, and it's fun to see any of our men or women college athletes here at Southern Miss, Golden Eagles and Lady Eagles, win any kind of reward, whether it's on the conference level, the regional level, or the national level. So, yeah, a lot of fun to see those men and women have some success.
John, enjoy your Friday night and have a good day tomorrow with that doubleheader. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us on Chasing Foul Balls.
Great to be with you guys anytime. Enjoy being with you. So thanks and have a great day.
See you later, John. John Cox, voice of the Golden Eagles. We'll come back. We'll wrap this Friday afternoon, I reckon it would be by the time we get through with this thing, after this timeout. Welcome back. Friday here in Southwest Mississippi. Of course, that means Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. We apologize for not being able to get Coach Rick Freeman on the phone. We just had some kind of problems between our phone systems that we just can't get to work. But Coach Freeman and his U.S. Southeastern Louisiana Lady Lions playing in the Southland Tournament down in Hammond this week, last night. They started the game yesterday afternoon, but then got rain and didn't finish it till late last night. But they get an 8-0 win over Texas A&M Corpus Christi in the opening game of the Southland Conference Tournament. They'll play Lamar, if the weather will hold off a little bit longer, at 2 o'clock this afternoon down in Hammond, America. That will be the second round game of the tournament. Now, the Southland Conference plays like a lot of people are going to now. They have two different sites. The Hammond America site for Southeastern, and then McNeese is hosting the other site. They will play, so those two winners will play for the Southland Conference Championship. Now, of course, the Lady Lions are two-time defending champion, back-to-back champions in the tournament of the Southland Conference softball. They won their first regular season championship this year. So right down in our doorstep, some great ladies softball. And, of course, Rick Freeman always has exciting teams. He builds his teams off speed, not necessarily power. They always lead the nation in stolen bases.
Well, anytime you play at that level, Robbie, it's a speed game, and even more so maybe than baseball because of the shortness of the bases and the quickness of the ladies. I mean, it's just, if you don't build it around speed, you got to hit home runs, and it's probably manufacture more runs with speed than you can with just trying to hit the ball out the park.
Well, like Robbie said, Southeastern, with all that speed, has They've led the nation, and they've been right in with the leaders for as long as Coach Freeman has been there in stolen bases.
And we know, as a good friend of ours from his school said, we know what speed do.
Yeah, that's right.
It creates havoc all the way around. It speeds everybody up, and you bobble it here. You got it's amazing when you watch it. That does that.
A boot, a bingle, and a bobble.
Amen.
And don't forget, Rick Freeman also had spent 10 years up in Jackson, 5 at Jackson State and 5 at Belhaven in his coaching career. And he had been introduced and inducted to the Hall of Fame at Belhaven. So we'll try some maybe other way. Sooner or later, we'll figure it out how to get Coach Rick Freeman. Thanks for being with us on this Friday morning. We'll be back with you next Friday morning. Charlie Winfield, the voice of Mississippi State baseball on TV, will join us. We'll see you then.
Well, the band just started to play my favorite song. I just found my baby and I want to get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. I said don't turn out the lights, don't turn out those lights, don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.